We are scheduled to talk to Dr. Joseph Cilona, who joins us this morning. He is involved in the show Married at First Sight. Dr. Cilona, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. And Kasey is a big fan of the show. She's told me all about it, and she's got a ton of questions for you. So, Kasey, go right ahead.
I've been watching since day one. Good morning. My first question is for our listeners who have not watched the show. Where can you tell us that the whole concept of the show came from? Because it's so unique.
The concept of the show actually came from Denmark. The show aired in a Danish version by the same name, and we're doing actually a U.S. version that mirrors the original version quite precisely.
Oh, that's awesome. So where did their concept come from for like this whole arranged marriage thing? Because, you know, marriage at first sight, these couples aren't meeting until they're literally at the altar. So I think it's like so unique now.
You know, when I first was pitched the concept, I really just kind of rolled my eyes and thought, oh, dear. And I actually refused to even take the meeting. It just sounded, just ridiculous to me. And they actually were persistent in sending me links of the original Danish version, which I'm happy in hindsight that I decided to view because I was really impressed and surprised at how well it was executed. The creator of the original show, his name is Michael Van Werden, so he came up with this, rather crazy concept. And he actually was very involved in the process with us in the production company. He flew in from Denmark and spent 4 days with us, actually explaining to us all the elements of how to produce this in a way that he felt was honoring the original model.
So now your background, you are a psychologist?
I'm a clinical psychologist, correct.
Okay. And explain to our listeners that aren't familiar with the show, these couples, are interviewed and you learn about them and then they're matched up at the altar?
Well, there are 4 experts. I'm the clinical psychologist. There's a sociologist, a sexologist, Dr. Logan Levkoff. The sociologist is Pepper Schwartz, and a spiritual advisor from Harvard University. His name is Greg Epstein. So all of us together do different assessments. My role was to administer a battery of psychological tests, personality testing, and use those results to examine all of the participants' personality traits and are they complementary or compatible. And all the other experts gathered their own data, and then we all joined heads and decided what our recommendations would be for matches if we found any.
So you had mentioned these...
And after we came up with matches, we were fortunate enough to determine 3 couples that we thought had a very high potential for compatibility. They agreed to a blind arranged marriage. So the first time that they would ever meet each other, know each other's names, or see each other physically would be on their wedding day.
They knew nothing about each other, not a name, not a face, not even a hint or a clue.
Nothing.
I just can't get past that.
Wow.
So you had mentioned these...
Well, the interesting part, actually, with the casting was the production company, again, in collaboration with the original creator, was very clever, in my opinion, because they cast participants looking for love and who had a history of not so successful in finding love and, really wanting to settle down and get married, but they didn't tell them until the very late stages of the casting process that it would require a blind arranged marriage. So that bomb was dropped on them really very, very late in the process, and they actually brought us in as the experts to kind of explain our roles and how we would be contributing to them. And this is all kind of outlined in a casting special that explains the process. But in that way, they really kind of avoided people that were just, had alternative agendas, that were seeking fame or notoriety. So we really found people that were authentically looking for love and open to something radical to find that.
So for something that's radical, I'm just thinking that most of the participants' age range from like 26, 27, you know, a couple of them are 31 or 33. But, I mean, it's not like they're desperate for love, you know, an older age, and they just can't find anybody to have that past. So what do you think at a young age led them to think that this was the answer, a radical experiment like this?
You know, they all had their own stories. Our youngest was actually 23 years old, and his name was Victor. He was also profiled in the casting special. And we were all, as experts, we were a little bit wary of matching anyone really below 25. But in his case, he was exceptionally mature. He had a very unique life experience and was really ready. So we really took it on a case-by-case basis. And the oldest, I think was in the early 40s. So there was quite a range represented.
Well, I really am so intrigued by this show.
Now, is tonight the final episode?
Tonight, there's a 2-hour finale, so the couples, the way the show works is we match them blindly, they marry, and then they go through all the stages that a typical married couple would go through. They have the wedding, they go on a honeymoon, they move in together, they start their married life as a couple, return to work, and then after 5 weeks, they have to reconvene and decide if they're going to stay married and continue to work on the relationship or get a divorce. So that's what happens this evening. It's after the 5 weeks of the experiment, and the couples are going to reconvene and meet with all of us, the experts, and make that decision.
Wow.
Do you think 5 weeks was enough time provided for these couples to realize if they're meant for each other?
You know, that's a very hotly debated topic. And I think, you know, for me personally, I think the ideal would be a little bit longer.
Of course.
But in this case, again, this was really a tight replication of the Danish model, and this was something that the creator was insisted upon. So really, by contract, it had to be executed in this way. And after going through the process myself and witnessing it all, it sounds like a very short time, but my view on that has changed a little bit having gone through it. It's such an intense process. Those 5 weeks, even for us as experts, felt like significantly longer. So much happens, and there's so much intensity. So I'm certain, and I've actually heard a lot of direct feedback from the participants, that for them, their experience of it was as if it were significantly longer. So, you know, again, I think it would be great if it could be a little bit longer, but that's just not the way it was executed. Has
the show been renewed? Might it be coming back again?
The show actually has been renewed for a second season. It was renewed after only the 5th episode. So It's really, really resonating with viewers.
Definitely me. I mean, you're talking about being intense for the experts and the participants. I'm just a viewer, and I'm like, oh my God, Courtney, Jason.
And I'm looking to check out the episodes on demand, because just hearing about the concept, and I mean, I've told our listeners, you know, imagine meeting your significant other at the altar, then you go to the reception, and then there's the wedding night, which had to be very interesting, I would think.
It's really compelling, and you know, it's even for us. You know, I know what happens, and I'm still kind of on the edge of my seat. It really grabs you, and I think one of the reasons why it does is because, circling back to what I said before with the casting, like it's so authentic. You know, it's real. It really is. There was nothing contrived here. They weren't put in any situations. It's really, in effect, a documentary, even though it's kind of categorized as reality. Mm-hmm. And I think viewers see pieces of themselves in all these people and all these relationships. And I think that's one of the big reasons why it's resonating so much with viewers.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cilona. I really did enjoy this, and I'm so glad I could get a hold of you. I hope that our listeners enjoyed it as well.
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. Dr. Joseph Cilona, who's talking to us from Manhattan this morning, where he notified Kasey that just moments before we began the interview, at least 5 jackhammers showed up outside of his office.
Poor guy.
So he was trying to concentrate there, but so that's on
FYI. It's For Your
FYI.
Inspiration. It's Tuesday at 9. So tonight is the last episode. If you have to catch up, get on demand right now, and you can watch all the episodes and then the finale tonight.
And they'll be back again for a second season.
Yay! I'm so